The school bus got into an accident. Both my daughter and the child of my wife's childhood friend were rushed to the hospital. My wife, who's a doctor, decided to save her childhood friend's kid first. I knelt on the ground, holding my bleeding daughter, and my wife called me dramatic. In the end, my daughter died from blood loss. The other kid only had a scratch. I cried out for my wife to bring my daughter back, but she pushed me away, saying life has its course. Stop making a scene. I held my daughter's small, lifeless body, hopeless. Took sleeping pills to end it all. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the day of the school bus accident. Hello, is this Coco's dad? There's been a school bus accident. Coco's not doing well. Please hurry to the First People's Hospital. The familiar voice of Coco's teacher was urgent and raised. Hello? Are you listening? Coco's bleeding badly. My grip on the phone trembled. Sweating. My voice choked with a mix of fear and relief. I'm on my way. I rushed out and caught a cab to the hospital. Watching the scenery fly by, I closed my eyes briefly, my heart pounding. It was real. I really came back to life. In my past life, when Coco's teacher called, I immediately contacted my wife who worked at the hospital, then headed there myself. But when I arrived, I found my daughter alone, bleeding on a cold bench. My heart sank. Doctor, someone help my daughter. I called out, but my voice was so small in the chaos. No one stopped to help. Coco's teacher saw me, left the other students and parents, and walked toward me. Coco's dad. Isn't her mom a doctor? She triaged the students, treating the serious injuries first. You're up next. Lisa's doing what she can. I was stunned. I pointed at my daughter's wound. Isn't Coco's injury serious enough? No reply from the teacher. Coco, sensing me, muttered, Daddy, it hurts. Daddy, I want to sleep. I cradled her. She's only 5. Coco, you can't sleep. Daddy'll find a doctor. Just hang on. Okay? I soothed her, lifting my eyes to meet Lisa's. She held a small girl who seemed unhurt. Next to her was Eric, a man from the past. He had been her childhood love before parents intervened. She would have married him if not for them. I knew she didn't love me, but Coco was her child. Innocent. I grabbed Lisa's coat, tears pleading, Lisa, please save Coco. She looked at me, frowning. Coco's not badly hurt. I've stopped the bleeding. Jackson, this isn't the place for a scene. You know how strong Coco is. Now step aside. Eric, emotional, approached me. Jackson, I know you think I came between you and Lisa. I'm sorry, but Susan's very hurt. She's anemic. Please let Lisa help her first. My grip loosened on his sleeve. Yes, Coco was athletic and healthy. But does that mean she should wait with blood gushing while another child gets treated? I had seen it. Susan only feigned unconsciousness after Lisa's words. But still, I begged Lisa, please save Coco. I knelt, tears falling. Lisa, encouraged by Eric, just said, Jackson, you've crossed a line. This is a hospital, not our home. I can't show favoritism. She hurried off with Susan, leaving me broken. I loved her for 10 years, but she was so cold. With Coco unconscious, I grabbed medicine from the teacher to stop the bleeding, but it kept flowing. By the time a doctor attended to her, she was gone from excessive blood loss. Holding her small body, I faced Lisa and Eric. They held Susan, laughing, relieved it was just a scratch. Eric's daughter stood there fine, while Coco was dead. They'd gone to the hospital together, yet this happened. I wept, demanding Lisa return my daughter. Security saw me as a threat. Lisa seemed surprised at Coco's lifeless body, but expressed no emotion. Life has its course, Jackson. It was an accident. Calm down, she said, pushing me out of the hospital. I clung to no hope. In despair, I took sleeping pills and embraced Coco into death. Maybe the universe felt pity. I was given another chance. This time, I vowed to protect Coco at all costs. As thoughts raced, the taxi reached the hospital. I hurried out, finding Coco alone, wounded as before, lips pale white. Lisa wasn't wrong. She did some basic first aid on Coco, but the bleeding wouldn't stop for some reason. I felt a bit uneasy. Maybe it's because I got here early. Eric just arrived by Susan's side. Oh, my poor Susan. Are you okay, Dad? I'm fine. Just feel a little dizzy. Eric looked at his daughter with concern, gently stroking her little face. We'll have Lisa do a full checkup on you later. Speak of the devil. Lisa came over with a group of doctors. Her voice had a bit of authority. According to the sequence we just set, first save the ones with severe injuries. Eric was quick to hand Susan over to Lisa. Lisa, save Susan, please. She's suffering from severe internal injuries. Lisa took her promptly. The other doctors followed the order, picking up the kids as assigned. Everything seemed orderly. Anyone watching would appreciate these doctors in white coats. Parents nearby couldn't hold back their tears. Some even cursed the school. How did a normal day lead to an accident? Heaven knows. My kid is so unlucky. We have to get an explanation from the school. Coco's teacher was comforting them non-stop. Amid the chaos, I rushed to the doctors. Please save my kid. She keeps bleeding and can't stop. Her head's getting warmer too. I was in my pajamas with unshaved stubble on my chin and looked like a worried dad, scared and confused. One younger doctor in the lineup looked at me with a frown, concerned. She'd only been working for a year, hadn't seen much death, so she was more compassionate than the seasoned doctors. Sir, your daughter looks seriously hurt, but we're short on staff. How about you come with us? I cried with relief, ignoring Lisa's glare, nodding heavily. Thank you. I meant it deep down. Some of the parents with less injured kids saw this. Oh wow, she's bleeding a lot. Wasn't the doctor wrong? This kid looks badly injured. Sigh. When kids get hurt, it's the adults who suffer more. Maybe it just looks worse than it is. As I was about to follow them with Coco in my arms, Lisa stopped me. Hold on. She handed Susan back to Eric, signaling him to follow them, then turned to me slightly, sounding annoyed. Jackson, a hospital isn't a stage for your drama to gain sympathy. At her words, everyone's eyes were on me, filled with either curiosity or disinterest. What's the deal? Why's Lisa saying he's seeking sympathy? Do they know each other? Feels like there's some drama here. Even the young doctor glanced at Lisa in confusion. Lisa, what are you talking about? The kids are seriously hurt. They need immediate care. Lisa chuckled with disdain, pointing at me holding Coco. Folks, he's my husband, and that child is my biological daughter too. Would I lie to you? This man is just trying to use this moment to gain sympathy from me. Out of jealousy. He's pulled stunts like this many times before. I ignored them, but this is a hospital, and I won't favor my child just because she's my daughter. Jackson, I'm a doctor first, and Coco's mom second. After realizing the situation, an experienced doctor in the team tugged at the young doctor's sleeve. This is Lisa's personal matter. Let's get the kids to the infirmary first. The young doctor gritted her teeth and hurried away. Eric, holding Susan, chose to stand by Lisa's side. Lisa, thank you for choosing Susan. Onlookers, after Lisa spoke, turned their scornful remarks towards me. Wow, didn't see that coming. This guy acts so well. Huh? He looks decent enough. Why not become an actor? So he was begging his doctor wife to treat their daughter first? Seems like it. Lisa is such a great doctor. Her ethics are admirable. Yeah, honestly, I would prioritize my child first too. I couldn't be as selfless as Lisa. Facing everyone's disdainful looks, I could only smile bitterly. At this point, does she still think I'm lying? Lisa, I know in your heart, I'll never match up to Eric. I have no need to deceive you. Coco is seriously hurt. She can't stop bleeding. Please, save her. I'm willing to divorce you. Hearing Lisa's name, Coco moved slightly. A soft, raspy voice. Is that Mom? Has Mom come to save me? After Eric and Lisa broke up, he was pushed by his family into marrying a nice woman, and they had Susan. But a year ago, Eric's wife died in a tragic accident. Lisa's closed-off feelings started to come alive again. Hearing the word divorce, Lisa's heart wavered. Her gaze towards me grew complicated. Honestly, This tempted her a lot. Eric noticed Lisa's wavering and signaled to Susan. Susan, understanding, pretended to faint. Lisa, Susan's passed out. What do we do? If anything happens to Susan, I won't want to live anymore. Eric leaned helplessly against the wall, pulling back Lisa's thoughts. She gently touched Eric's face, then looked at me sharply. Jackson, cut the deceit. Coco has had very few colds in her life. She's like a little monkey. This accident is nothing. I don't believe you're not behind the bleeding. To make me stay, you'll do anything. Her words left no room for kindness. I stand in the middle of the crowd, feeling beaten up. I have no clue what I did wrong. I never lied, just wanted my wife to come home, spend time with me and Coco. What's wrong with that? Blood seeps through my fingers, covering Coco's head. Mocking voices surround me. TSK, TSK, using your daughter to win your wife's heart. That's scary. Good job, Lisa. Saving people like him would just waste medical resources. It feels like my heart's being slowly cut by a dull knife. Even Coco's death wouldn't sway her. What am I holding on to? I cradle Coco and head for the door. I'll take her to another hospital. It's better than waiting here. Hold on, Coco, don't fall asleep. Okay? If you do, you might not see Dad again. Dad, Coco murmurs, eyes half closed. Is Mommy not going to save me? Her innocent disappointment tears me apart. I open my mouth but have no words. I once told Lisa about our daughter, saying her mom was a doctor saving lives at the hospital, explaining why she couldn't be around. Coco admired Lisa, wanting to grow up and become a doctor like her. She didn't foresee dying indirectly because of her mom. Just as I despair, ready to leave, a calm, steady female voice comes from behind. Though spoken in jest, it's packed with sarcasm and reprimand. Lisa can't tell real from fake sicknesses? I turn, tears streaked across my face. Will someone save Coco? Vice President? Aren't you still in the meeting? Lisa asks, sounding a bit miffed, surprised at the youthful appearance of the Vice President. If the meeting hadn't ended early, I wouldn't have found out our attending physician here is blind and deaf. Christina snaps, ignoring Lisa as she moves toward me. Bring the child to me, she says. I nod, wipe my tears, and follow Christina. Lisa tries to speak, but Christina interrupts her. Why are you looking at me? Go save that severely injured Susan. Lisa, holding her pride as one of the youngest attending physicians, leaves with Eric and his son. The bystanders, confused by the turn of events, murmur among themselves, wondering if the dad is forcing his child to fake being sick for sympathy. As we rush through the crowd to Christina's office, she takes medicine to stop Coco's bleeding, but it won't stop. Her face is grave, eyebrows tightly furrowed. I dig my fingers into my palms, scared. After a while, Christina speaks. Your daughter likely has hemophilia, a hereditary bleeding disorder where the blood doesn't clot properly. It's painful. Luckily, her injury isn't severe. My eyes well up. No wonder nothing stops the bleeding. I wish it was me with this disease, not Coco. Looking at her pale face, I break down. Christina pats my back. I'll do my best, and quickly takes Coco to the emergency room. Though rare, hemophilia isn't beyond Christina's ability to treat. I sit outside, dazed, as the 3 words in surgery blur before me. Soon, Lisa approaches, arms crossed, acting unfazed. Why did it escalate to an emergency? She demands. Her words sting, dripping with disdain. 10 years of affection gone. For once, I challenge her. Eric's kid isn't dead. Susan just had a scrape. A bit of ointment's all he needed. I didn't expect you'd have the time to come and mock me. What's that supposed to mean, Jackson? Lisa scowls. Susan's had severe anemia since childhood. He's fragile. How could you be so cold? After 10 years, we should end it. Let's plan a trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau soon, Lisa. I need a divorce. You know more about other people's children than your own. Do you even know Coco has hemophilia? Lisa was caught off guard for a moment. Hemophilia? So the reason she can't stop bleeding isn't because of anything you did? I was shaking with anger. Lisa, I'm her father. How could I joke about a child's safety? She's never loved me or trusted me at all. The resentment from my past and present lives overlapped as I looked at her with a gaze so cold and poisoned. It even made Lisa a little nervous. She took a step back, putting distance between us. Jackson, but you were jealous of Eric. It's true you had Coco target Susan on purpose, right? True? What is true? In Lisa's eyes, probably only what Eric says is true. Huh? Susan is introverted and frail, with hardly any friends. Does that mean friendly Coco is bullying her just because she won't play with her? Lisa, we've been together for 10 years. Have you ever understood Coco? Or your own biological daughter? Are you only ever focused on Eric's daughter? When Coco recovers, I don't need you to say a word. I'll be the one filing for divorce. After I said this, the light over the operating room suddenly turned green. I quickly turned my head and saw Coco being wheeled out. Christina removed her mask, visibly more relaxed. Jackson, the surgery went smoothly. We've stopped Coco's bleeding. But, this condition is quite unique. You need to keep a close watch on her from now on. Come by my office later, and I'll give you some guidelines. You can also find related cases online. I nodded as tears of joy started flowing down my cheeks. Thank you, doctor. After 2 lifetimes, I finally saved Coco. She's alive, and this chance at rebirth wasn't wasted. Lisa came over too. She looked at Coco and said, almost naturally, Coco's been healthier than Susan since she was little. Was I wrong to choose to save Susan first? See, Coco's fine, isn't she? Before I could even get angry, Christina was already on the attack. Oh, a doctor who knows so much about hemophilia. You do know those with this condition are like fragile glass dolls, don't you? If I hadn't intervened so quickly, Coco's life would have been in grave danger. I'm really questioning whether you're even the child's mother to say such brainless things. Hearing Christina stand up for me set a warm rush through my heart. Not for long, Lisa. Didn't you want a divorce? Well, I'll see to it. Without another glance at Lisa, I followed Christina to the hospital room. Watching Coco, lying there with her eyes closed, breathing evenly, I couldn't help but feel a lump in my throat. I quietly took her tiny hand. It wasn't cold like in the past but warm to the touch. Coco really was alive. After a long while, she opened her eyes, her tearful gaze meeting mine. I hurried to get her a glass of water, which she sipped gently. Dad, I've missed you, Coco said tearfully, hugging my neck. I avoided the bandage on her forehead and gently stroked her head. Dad's here. Dad will never leave you. After a tender moment, Coco tentatively asked, Dad, did Mom save Coco? Her voice carried both hope and caution. I pressed my lips together and shook my head. Lisa wasn't a good mom, or at least not for Coco. Accepting it sooner was better, especially since divorce was our inevitable end. No, a more skilled doctor saved Coco. Coco looked disappointed but not surprised. Kids can sense whether their parents love them. It's not something you can fake. I know, Mom doesn't like Coco. I held her in my arms, feeling her sadness. Dad likes Coco, enough for both me and Mom. Just then, Eric somehow found out Coco's room number and walked in with Susan. Jackson, he said softly, full of guilt. I'm sorry. You know how it is being a dad. I was just worried about Susan and ended up competing for Lisa. But trust me, nothing happened between us. Eric seemed genuinely remorseful, like he meant those words. As parents, it's natural to care for your kids. But I was sure Eric wasn't genuine. Don't call me that. We're not close, are we? As you wished, Lisa and I will soon be divorced. So stop bothering me. Hearing this, Eric's eyes lit up, struggling to suppress his grin. He pretended to be concerned, saying, Jackson, how did it come to this? Is it because of me? Though Lisa mentioned being with me again, I thought she was joking. I'll clarify things with her. I never meant to come between you two. His words were clear and boastful. I replied with a cold smile, What? Don't you mind being the other man if we're not divorced? Lisa walked in, catching the tail end of my words. Jackson, what do you mean? Eric is bringing Susan to apologize. Do you need to be so harsh? I looked at her confused. Did I ever ask him to apologize? He came uninvited, and I'm supposed to go along with it? Meanwhile, Coco watched her mother in confusion. The mom she had once hoped for. Mom, she called softly. Surprisingly, maybe out of maternal instinct, Lisa responded, Mom's here. But right then, Susan seized Lisa's leg, refusing to let go. She's my mom. Dad said Lisa will be my mom from now on, just mine. Seeing Lisa's inaction, Coco stopped looking at her. Her once admirable, heroic mom had changed. Lisa awkwardly tried to back herself up. Susan is just 5, and her mom passed away. But since when did someone with a family rush to be another child's mother? When disappointment accumulates enough, it stops hurting. Lisa, about the divorce I mentioned earlier, I'm not joking. We'll split the assets 50-50ths. After all, you didn't actually cheat on me. But Coco has to stay with me. Lisa was angry. Why? Even though Eric was happy to see this, he kept a troubled look and gently tugged on Lisa's clothes. He said softly, Lisa, don't argue because of me. I already told Jackson earlier. Nothing happened between us. I don't want to keep pretending, so I laid it all out. Calling Lisa away from my side when I was sick that night, or letting her go to Susan's parent-teacher meeting, all those used amusement park tickets on the nightstand. Did you really think I was a fool? Anyone would have thought you 3 were a real family. Lisa, tell me, am I that gullible? Ever since Coco was 3, her birthday wish was for the 3 of us to go to an amusement park together. Now she's 5. Have you ever kept that promise? Do you think your role as her mother is even necessary? Lisa bit her lip with a strange mist in her eyes. She met Coco's disappointed gaze and felt an inexplicable pain. Jackson, I agree to the divorce, but I won't give up on Coco. I'll change. I'll be a good mom. Looking at her ridiculous face, did she really plan to remarry Eric and have Coco be part of that family? How absurd. Eric, seeing Lisa's persistence, quickly assured her, Lisa, don't worry. I'll treat Coco as my own daughter. She and Susan can have each other. Coco, weak on the hospital bed, spoke up, I don't want a companion, a stepdad, or a mom. I just want Dad. I held her frail body in silent support. Seeing that we couldn't reach an agreement, Lisa left with Eric but left behind a final remark. Coco is still my daughter, Jackson. I won't step back. 10 years of marriage and Coco's been here for 5 years. Did she just realize she's her mom now? Or did she simply not want to make things easy for me? I am done being passive. I decided to file for divorce. Christina recommended me a lawyer. After Coco was discharged, we exchanged contact info. I often ask her about hemophilia. Compared to Lisa, even Christina seems more like Coco's real mom. The day before the court hearing, Lisa met me privately. Jackson, do we need to escalate to this level? You should know as the primary income earner, I might have a better shot at winning custody. I merely raised an eyebrow. Why not be with Eric? Isn't one Susan enough for you to care for? Seeing my attitude unchanged, she pulled out her phone. Jackson, think carefully. The public opinion online is on my side. I watched as the video from the hospital went viral. Edited clips painted me as a desperate man using his child to beg for his wife's love. The harsh comments drilled me into the ground. This guy's crazy. Is he really a father? Why can't his daughter stop bleeding? Did he take her meds away? Lisa's such a good doctor. She wouldn't play favorites, even with her own child. She knows best about her husband and daughter. She couldn't be lying. They should divorce. Lisa should fight for custody. The daughter with him? That'd be bad. Support Lisa to win custody. Lisa had that smug smile, as if victory were inevitable. See, Jackson? Just give up. Our flawed marriage shouldn't make Coco pay the price. I'll take good care of her. Eric will be a better dad than you. I felt so frustrated as I scrolled through. Lisa, this is how you play it? She remained silent, implying acceptance. I handed her phone back. I'm not giving up. Not now, not ever. I left, quickly informing Christina and my lawyer about it. Half an hour later, Christina texted me not to worry. Somehow, Christina's words were like a calming spell. I felt my anxiety ease. I trust Christina. The following morning, I drove to the court. I hired a reliable babysitter for Coco. Given her great reputation, I wasn't worried. I needed to focus, as a tough battle awaited. When I arrived at the courthouse, I saw a crowd. People were throwing rotten vegetables at Lisa as she scrambled inside, using her jacket to shield her face. I had never seen her like that. She used to be so composed in her lab coat, even when Eric was involved. But now, Lisa seemed just like any other woman with no facade. I wondered how Lisa turned from loved to loathed overnight. Christina called, explaining she'd released the full surveillance video from the hospital. It clearly showed how Coco ended up in critical care while Susan had a mere scratch. Christina had bought traffic to make it trend, reversing public opinion in my favor. Everyone was here to see the reverse in the story, feeling deceived and furious, ready to voice their disdain. I finally felt a sense of relief. Seeing the issues online getting sorted out was a huge weight off my shoulders. Later in court, my lawyer was super sharp. He clearly laid out how Lisa has been neglecting her responsibilities over the years. Lisa wanted to counter, but we had plenty of evidence. Plus, she, who usually likes to keep things clean, was in clothes that reeked. She was so overwhelmed that she didn't know what to say. In the end, I won the case. I got half the assets and custody of Coco. After we left the court, Lisa seemed like she wanted to say something. But seeing the crowd outside with their rotten eggs waiting to throw at her made her reconsider. She quickly got into her car and drove away. Once we divorced, Eric didn't waste any time tying the knot with Lisa. But what he got wasn't the respected chief physician wife from a top hospital. Since the whole drama online, Lisa faced social death. It's not that she lacked skills, but people couldn't trust someone indifferent to even their own daughter. Eventually, folks stopped seeking her services. Lisa was let go from the top hospital and had to open a small clinic. But all the wealth she had saved was quickly spent by Eric, who was quite a spender. That's when she realized that her childhood sweetheart wasn't the love of her life, but a mistake. Susan, their daughter, was withdrawn, hardly spoke, and suffered from bipolar disorder. Lisa worried to no end about her. But I don't know much about what happened later. After Lisa got fired, she didn't make enough to send Susan to a fancy school. Meanwhile, I was doing my best to treat Coco's illness and give her the best education possible. In this life, without Lisa, my son and I are living our best lives.